Quasi-contracts. Let us start with an example. Suppose a fruit parcel is delivered under a mistake to Shyam, who consumes the fruits thinking them as his birthday present. Here, the true owner of fruits is not Shyam, so Shyam must return the parcel or pay for the fruits. Although there is no agreement between Shyam and the true owner, yet he is bound to pay as the law regards it as a quasi-contract. So, there are certain obligations specified in the Indian Contract Act that are not actually contracts because they miss one or the other elements of a contract, such as offer, acceptance, consideration, and free consent, but are still enforceable in a court of law. Such obligations are called quasi-contractual obligations. Moving forward with problem without a quasi-contract. Now, why such types of contracts are implemented? So, here in our example, Shyam was having benefit and the true owner was making a loss as he has not been paid for the fruits as well as Shyam has not returned fruits to the true owner. So, there is injustice with the fruit owner. To remove these types of injustice, quasi-contracts were implemented. So, the main principle of quasi-contract is no man should grow rich out of another person's loss. Therefore, liability in the case of quasi-contractual obligations is based on the principle of unjust enrichment. Solution due to quasi-contract. The purpose of the quasi-contract is to render a fair outcome in a situation where one party has an advantage over another. In our example, if Shyam has paid for the fruits or Shyam has returned the fruits, then the contract will not be defined as a quasi-contract as both parties have advantageous outcome. In technical terms, a quasi-contract is a retroactive arrangement between two parties who have no previous obligations to one another. A quasi-contract is a court-imposed document designed to prevent one party from unfairly benefiting at another party's expense, even though no contract exists between them. Now, let us further understand features of quasi-contracts. So basically, there are three features of quasi-contracts. In the first place, such a right is always a right to money and generally, though not always, to a liquidated sum of money. For example, James delivers milk to Harry. Now Harry is having an obligation to pay the price of a milk to James. So Harry has to pay James, as James has a right to receive money from Harry. Secondly, it does not arise from any agreement of the parties concerned, but is imposed by the law. Here, between James and Harry, there is no agreement, but still Harry has to pay James, as in the eyes of law, it is a contract. Thirdly, it is a right which is available not against all the world, but against a particular person or persons only, so that in this respect it resembles a contractual right. In our example, James has the right against Harry to receive money and not against the world. Let us go forward now with cases deemed to be quasi-contracts. So by default, these following types of instances will resemble as a quasi-contract. Firstly, if necessaries are supplied to a person who is capable of contracting, the supplier is entitled to claim their price from the property of such a person. For example, Sam supplies Tommy, who is a mentally challenged person, with necessaries suitable to his condition in life. Here, Sam is entitled to be reimbursed from Tommy's property as necessaries are supplied to Tommy. Secondly, a person who is interested in the payment of money, which another person is bound to pay and who therefore pays it, is entitled to be reimbursed by other. For example, Peter is the owner. He has leased his land to John, a farmer. However, Peter fails to pay the revenue due to the government. After sending notices and not receiving the payment, the government releases an advertisement for sale of the land. According to the revenue law, once the land is sold, John's lease agreement is annulled. John does not want to let go of the land since he has worked hard on the land and it has started yielding good produce. In order to prevent the sale, John pays the government the amount due from Peter. In this scenario, Peter is obligated to repay the said amount to John. Thirdly, a person who enjoys the benefit of a non-gratuitous act is bound to make compensation. For example, Mr. A tradesman, leaves goods at Mr. B's house by mistake. Mr. B treats the goods as his own. He is bound to pay to Mr. A. Fourthly, a person who finds the lost property may retain it subject to the responsibility of a bailee. For example, Mr. P, a customer in Mr. D's shop, forgets his mobile phone and one of Mr. D's assistants finds it and put it in a drawer over the weekend. On Monday, it was discovered to be missing. D was held liable in the absence of ordinary care which prudent men would have taken. Lastly, if money is paid or goods delivered by mistake or under coercion, the recipient must repay or make restoration. For example, Mr. A and Mr. B jointly owe 100 rupees to Mr. C. Mr. A alone pays the amount to Mr. C. And Mr. B, not knowing this fact, pays 100 rupees over again to Mr. C. Mr. C is bound to repay the amount to Mr. B. I hope you have understood the concept of quasi-contract. Please check your knowledge with the following MCQs.